Starfield has been one of the more controversial games over the last few years. I think it had a lot to do with all the hype around it. It got announced, we didn't see much of it, then we did, and it looked pretty good. And then it came out, and people had differing opinions. It was also one of the first big, high profile games that came out from Bethesda after they'd been acquired by Xbox. And, I find it hard to believe anyone who considers themselves kind of neutral or unbiased can't admit that there's been a little bit of bad vibes around that, right? So I loved Starfield, and I really enjoyed it when it came out. As it's been updated and as people have made mods for it, it's gotten even better. Then they did the Shattered Space DLC, which I really liked a lot. I thought it was really great. And now we have more DLC, and we have a bunch of updates coming. So I wanted to go through Bethesda's blog demonstrating all of that stuff and kind of give my thoughts. Okay, so here on the Bethesda page, we have the Starfield blog that says everything coming in Starfield's Free Lanes update and Terran Armada DLC. There's a lot here. So if you want a full complete breakdown, I would either just go read this blog, watch the videos that are in it, or maybe there's some other content creators who have done better deep dives on this, like ones who actually went to an event at Bethesda where they got to show off all this stuff. We're just going to browse it, and I'm going to chat. So April 7th is the day that this DLC, all this new content, these updates are coming out, as well as the PlayStation 5 release of the game. We'll talk about that towards the end. I really do suggest checking out these videos. It is actually cool hearing the people who made this stuff talk about it. They're obviously excited about it and very passionate about it. The first big thing is the Free Lanes update. So this is kind of broken into three things. It's broken into Free Lanes, which is like the content updates. It's broken into the DLC, the story DLC that's coming, and then some like miscellaneous other updates. So Free Lanes is a big one. And that's the Free Lanes and cruise mode. And what's so cool about that is that everyone's complained that there's too many loading screens in Starfield, and every time you do anything, it's a loading screen, and when you're fast traveling or whatever. So this is kind of an answer to that. Now, as an aside, I've been playing a decent amount of Starfield lately. I actually would say that entering some of the larger bases where you open an airlock, go into the airlock, have to wait till the first one closes, and then open a second door to get in. I wish those were loading screens, just throwing it out there. But this Free Lanes and cruise mode thing is kind of neat. So the whole idea of it is that when you can do this cruise mode where when you're traveling to other planets and stuff, instead of just doing a cutscene, which you can probably still do, just doing the loading screen, you can do this instead. And while you're doing that, you can get up from your ship, you can go do research or inventory management, or talk to people on your crew and do those things. What's also cool about it is that there's going to be essentially points of interest while you're doing cruise mode. So you'll get like an alert while you're in cruise mode of, hey, this thing is happening, or sensors have picked up this, and you could be attacked by epileptic or red some of the pirate folks. You could stumble upon a derelict ship that you need to explore. You could stumble upon someone in need of help. Apparently there's going to be a whole bunch of things, and it's akin to the idea of when you land on a planet, there's kind of random points of interest around. Some of them more rare than others. That's how this is going to be too. So basically, if you've wanted to have this more dynamic and this more immersive way of traveling around the universe, you're going to have your opportunity now. Will be surprised if I actually use that much, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We have this new encounters. So this is what I was kind of talking about. So new space encounters have been added to the game, and their frequency has been increased, giving you more reasons to get out there and explore space. So this is that idea of, like, right now, when you travel to a new planet or something, you will come upon like a fight happening between UC ships and spacer ships or whatever, and you can help with that. Or you'll stumble upon like a tourist ship that needs some help or needs repaired or something, which they already have some of those encounters. One of my favorite ones is the granny ship, where it's just an old granny who's on a ship with a bunch of her cats, and I think you get like food from her and stuff, if I remember correctly. It sounds like that's going to be emphasized even more with even more of those things, and that's on top of the cruising kind of points of interest that you can come along, which I think is really cool. This X Tech is interesting. So this is more, I believe, for kind of the end game level people. So the whole idea of this basically is that you'll be able to upgrade your gear, whether it's weapons or your spacesuits and all that, to higher levels of proficiency or higher quality levels than what even we currently have. I believe the top right now is legendary. They're going to have more than that, which is kind of neat. So the new quality tiers is, let's see here, for superior and exceptional gear. So that's what you can kind of look forward to. And then the ship optimization, that is cool. Basically, you're going to have more of an opportunity to just make things on your ship better rather than having to do the full ship build process. They already have a version of that, but I assume that's expanding on that. And they're going to have new modules you can put on your ship that have like special effects, where there's a few examples of that in the vanilla game, but this seems like it's going to expand on that. So you can add a module that makes you go invisible when you go into boosters and things like that. So pretty neat. We also, as part of that, we have some outpost updates. So they have a shared outpost container finally. So anyone who has played the game from the start, especially, will know how maddening this has been. And one way to handle this is you can have a mod that makes all of the materials for crafting weightless, so you can just carry them on your person all the time, so you don't have to do this. This is going to be awesome. It's going to, in some part, reduce the need for that, because now instead of having to lug around all of your building materials everywhere you go, you can have an outpost container now, and when you build one, everywhere you go, it will be shared. It's kind of wild it's taking this long. I'm going to be honest, there are technically some modded solutions for this, but none of them are that great. I found having zero weight resources to be the best way to do it. But this is something that's interesting, and it may give me a reason to get rid of that mod, because now the whole reason I have it will in theory be gone. So we'll have to wait and see. The database is pretty neat. It basically allows you to manage all your outposts from one central screen instead of having to travel to each one, which is really, really cool. And they're adding outpost pets. So I believe this one here is the Millie whale that you can see, this little bug feller here. I wouldn't be surprised if they add their own eventually, and they will 1,000,000,000% have mods that people are going to put in here, probably for cats and dogs and other creatures in the game that they're just going to shrink down, and you can have a cute little creature there. I'm curious how long it's going to take for someone to have a terramorph pet. If you don't know what that is, you should go play Starfield, because it's very good. And I don't know why you're watching watching this video still, but thank you very much. Starborn abilities and new game plus. So they're upgrade. You're going to be able to upgrade Starborn abilities, not by doing the Unity. If that means something to you, great. If not, play the game and beat it. And honestly, this whole part here is probably a little spoilery. But what's really cool is this quantum entanglement device. So if you don't want spoilers to the end or whatever of Starfield, skip the next like 60 seconds, I guess. But this quantum entanglement device is really, really cool, because it, when you do the Unity, when you go in and you do New Game Plus at the end of the game to explore all those options and fulfill the whole point of the game, you can't take anything. You get to keep your levels and things like that, but you can't keep gear and all that. You get a ship and you get the Starborn outfit, and I want to say weapons, but I can't remember. I've only done it a couple times. It's been a while. But this quantum entanglement device at base lets you take 50 50 pounds or whatever the measurement is of 50 units of storage space of things to your next adventure, to your new game plus. And you can find ways to upgrade that using quantum essence, which you get from killing starborn ships. And I assume starborn, actual soldiers in the game, essentially. You can upgrade that, I think, up to 200 units of storage. And that's a pretty hefty, that's a very hefty amount of things to be able to move forward with you. So that's a cool idea. It kind of defeats the purpose of the thing a little bit, but I also think, if you think it defeats the purpose, if it spoils it, just don't use it. And that's a pretty common thing with this sort of thing. So they have and more. So Anchor Point Station. So there's a new basically hub that you can use that you can visit. It's a really big space station, which we have. There's actually, playing through the game again, you forget that there are like a bunch of big space stations, and they are really cool. And some of them are like huge. One that always blows my mind is the one that you go to, the repair station in the first bounty hunter campaign mission side quest thing. That thing is so big, it's so cool. So check it out. But this is cool. So new ship modules, new pieces of ship that you can put together, a new module slot. So the upgrade slot, that's going to be the thing that will allow you to upgrade certain attributes in your ship with different modules. The Colony War Action Heroes is kind of fun. It's kind of like the Fallout bobbleheads to a point. You'll be able to find them either unpackaged or packaged. There's going to be display options available, like things that you can put in your ship to display all of your collected action figures, essentially. And like the bobbleheads in Fallout, you're going to get permanent buffs to your character whenever you get one. I think this is it's dumb, but I think it's so cool. It looks like you can even build a diorama and like arrange them on the diorama. So you can tell we're getting deep into the development of this game, where they've done all the things, likely with this update, all the things they always wanted to do with the game, and now they can do some silly stuff, which I think is great. It talks about more planetary points of interest, which is great. They gave the impression, it's not like they just added like 5 or 6 more, that they're giving the impression they've added like dozens more of these, which is super cool. There's new crew members that you can recruit from around. There's new side quests, a new land vehicle. It's kind of like it actually looks like the cockpit of the first ship that you get with wheels, which I kind of love because I like that ship. There is a asteroid base home that you can purchase. Apparently it's like a fairly astronomical amount of money. It's meant for like end game folks. But it's basically a mansion that you can fully customize. But what I like about it is that it's also furnished. So you can change it if you want, but it comes furnished. I've never really enjoyed in the Bethesda Fallout 4 and such of, like trying to decorate every house I make and all that. So whenever there's an option for it to like auto decorate, I'm always into that. There's more enemy modifiers that has something to do with the DLC as well. But there's things like there's like a tank that has 3 times more health, tricky that can just not be damaged when you shoot them. The martyr one is interesting because if they die, then all of their allies will go into a rage and be way harder to kill. It's very cool. They're adding new weapon skins. They're adding constellation skins for the guns, which I love because I love the constellation, like spacesuits and just their color scheme and stuff. I think it's so cool. Maybe that's just me. They have poses for photo mode for the vehicles, and new camera features as well for my screenshotters. Terran Armada is a DLC that's coming out. It's essentially us facing off with this whole new this faction essentially, and the idea is that they're humans who don't really agree with the UC. They don't agree with the Freestar Collective. They aren't really pirates. They're just another faction now. And their whole thing is that they think they know better than everyone else, as they always do. And they're trying to take over, they're trying to establish themselves in the galaxy or in the universe, the game universe here. And so the whole thing with them seems like it's going to be, there is a story campaign, but a big part of how they're going to affect the world, or the game in general, is they're going to take over systems, and you won't be able to use your fast travel there. So it's going to force you to use the new cruise system, and you're going to have to find basically these giant machines they put on these planets that prevent you. It's a big it's like a big disrupting machine, and the whole, one of the big parts of this is going to find those and take them down so that you can fast travel again, and so that you can reclaim that part, whatever galaxy that is, or whatever star system or whatever they've taken over. What's cool about this faction, one, is that they use robots for a majority of their foot soldiers. It does appear that you will be fighting human enemies as well, but as you can see on the screen on the bottom right, they have these kind of, generic looking robots that you're going to be fighting a lot too. There's even one of them that you can recruit apparently, which is kind of a neat thing. What I like about this faction is that they have definitely gone like full like Call of Duty with this faction. Their armor is very kind of what you would imagine today as like military armor. So they have like the military style helmets, and even their actual spacesuits and stuff are very kind of like modern day military inspired. And their weapons, they're gonna have a litany of new weapons that they have and that they use that literally just look like modern day weapons, kind of spacified a little bit. There's a bunch of weapons in the vanilla game that I think are borderline kind of goofy. I'll never forgive them for making the old hunting rifle, or the vintage hunting rifle, or whatever it is, a Russian, extremely rare Russian silenced gun, when it absolutely should have just been a bolt action rifle from the Fallout games. Like, it should have been. I'll never forgive them for doing that. So it just, every now and then you can tell when someone was making decisions about guns in a game who know nothing about guns, but it's fine. They made their decision. Maybe someone will mod the hunting rifle in there one day. I can't find one yet, but these incursions are what I was talking about, with where you're going to have to go in and take out these disrupting, buildings or machines. And then more. So new ships, new ship parts. I assume the Terran Armada is going to have their own style of ship and their own brands. So we'll be able to use, and I assume have some of that. The new gear, like I talked about before, the guns and armor. It also looks like just generic. There's going to be a ton of new clothes and different types of armor and stuff. Not just the new faction, but they showed some really, really cool looking spacesuits and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what they've done with that and get some more variety. I actually like the aesthetic of most of the suits in the game, but so many of them are these like kind of puffy, kind of funny looking suits, if I have to be honest. So having some more like kind of sleek, military style things it's good for me. It's what I like to see. There's a pre-built outpost, which is great for me because I don't really like doing outpost stuff, but I like the idea of being able to lay down outposts. And it's literally like a little pre-made home. You drop it, it's fully furnished. It has, you can customize it if you want, but this is something I'm going to use a lot. This new crew member, what do they call him here? I forget what he was. Model G is this tiny little robot that you can have come around with you. And then it does talk about the last thing here, is the PlayStation 5 release. Look, like, this is kind of a tough one, or at least like a weird one for me. This game has been out for, it's been like 2.5 years. Starfield probably isn't selling any Xboxes anymore. And when a game reaches that status, cool. Go onto other platforms, I don't mind. I don't really love Xbox putting out their first party games day one, like they have with some. I suspect, and this is a slight aside, my guess is that there is a tiny chance they may go back to Xbox Game Studio games being exclusive to the console and to PC. You're talking like the Halos, Fable, things like that, even though Fable probably won't be. But those like internal studios, and then we'll continue to see the acquired platforms and the acquired publishers like Bethesda, like Activision, continue to be multi-platform, and maybe in some cases being, maybe timed exclusives or something. We'll have to wait and see. But as for this, I think this is really cool. I'm really curious to see the sentiment probably change at least a little bit around Starfield, where you're going to have a bunch of people play it again because they already had it, or starting new with PlayStation 5. The game's in better shape than it's ever been. I actually thought the game was in pretty good shape when it released. Easily the best, or at least the least buggy Bethesda game I've played from launch before. It had its issues and definitely quality of life stuff that they needed to fix, which they either have or modders have, and they continue to kind of catch up on the vanilla side of things. I'm happy for PlayStation people. I'm curious to see what the new leadership at Xbox does about these kind of deals in the future, though. And that's it. So I'm super pumped for this. I think it looks really great. This is, you know, I like Starfield. I want to play more Starfield. They're giving me reasons to play more Starfield. That's a good day for me. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for this and other gaming news. Check out all my links in the description of the video to support and see my other content. Hit the like button so more people see it. I think I hit all the check marks. That's all I've got for this one. So until next time.